Back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, time for the second and final NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. They will qualify on Saturday morning. It is a warm day here. Temperature topping out at 91 degrees, 88 now. Why are you looking at me like that, Jeff Hammond?
Warm. What you say is hot out there.
Okay, it's hot. Like Jeff Hammond's temper. Glad you're with us. We had a 1 hour and 20-minute practice earlier this afternoon. Now, Hermie, how will this practice be different in terms of agendas for the team?
Well, I think for the most part, the teams will take what they learned in the first session. They had a little bit of time in between practices to implement some changes, try some new things. I think you see most of the guys go back on the racetrack, feel those changes out, see if they're headed in the right direction as far as race trim, and then when we get to the last 20, 30 minutes, we'll see a lot of these guys bolt on a set of stickers and make sure that it's not too loose to get that fast qualifying lap, Jeff.
You're exactly right. And when I say that from a crew chief standpoint, Hermie, you're going to see a lot of crew chiefs up there being salesmen about this point in time, because that racetrack, it's going to be slick. It's going to be greasy. You're not going to like the way your car feels, but you've got to understand that's the way it's going to be come Saturday afternoon. You're going to have to live with it. So if we can really get it hooked up now, Steve, we're going to be bad to the bone by the time that race ends. We'll be one of the guys you're going to have to beat. So final adjustments now for the race setup. Well, believe they'll do it probably 45 minutes worth of more fine-tuning here after they made those little adjustments for that hour and a half we had off. And then we got to get serious about qualifying to have a good starting position.
Hey, and don't forget, when they get through with this practice today on Thursday, not back on the racetrack until early Saturday morning when they got to put that number down.
Well, Paul Menard was the quickest in first practice. Bob Dillner has an update on that 98 team.
Well, Steve Burns, Paul Menard learned one very important thing. He was fast, but more importantly, comfortable inside his race car. You can see the number 98 car is sitting here in the garage area, and if you look at the cockpit of this race car, no driver can be found. Right now, this team thinks they're going to sit out this practice session. We told you they changed an intake manifold in the first practice session. Well, Paul still liked that first intake manifold he used initially to put up that big lap, so they switched that back in the break, but it looks like this car will stay put here in the garage area. Krista Voda?
Well, Bob, one number down on the entry list from the 98, the 99 of Trevor Bayne. Now, he left Dover limping, literally, a slight sprained left ankle. His ankle is fine, and he is smiling here. Why? Because he has a new sponsor, OutPetCare.com, on the car, and it's really cool because fans can go log on and get their dog on the deck lid. On this car here at Charlotte, on the back deck lid is Trevor's car, Biscuit. There he is, little cutie. Trevor a little bit tight in that first practice.
All right, thank you very much, Krista. 47 teams are here. 46 practiced earlier today. The only one not on the track was Danny O'Quinn in the 90. Trevor Bayne headed out, take his first laps of this practice. Same as last practice, 1 hour, 20 minutes.
1 hour, 20 minutes. But the cool thing about for Trevor Bayne, they told me with this sponsor coming on, this definitely gives him a full sponsored car for the remainder of the season, which is really good for him. Give him an opportunity to go out there and race against young men right here like Justin Allgaier driving that Penske Dodge number 12.
We talked in the first practice about Allgaier having such a great start to this season. He won a race at the Bristol Motor Speedway in the spring, and he is poised, I believe, to make a run at the championship, even as young as he is, just 22 years old.
No, I agree with you there. I think, again, we talked about in that first practice, Steve, how good this Penske organization has gotten. I mean, they've always had a strong nationwide program, but now they've got two teams running the full full schedule with this teammate Brad Keselowski. And I mean, these two guys, I mean, I think they're really starting to shine and share information. You know, Brad's leading the points. I mean, here we go with Justin. I mean, he's just getting better each and every week, and you got to kind of think that with the fact that Kevin Harvick's not running the full schedule, along with Kyle Busch not running a full schedule. We got trouble off of turn 4, guys. 6 cars around.
Looked like 2 cars got together coming off of turn 4.
You know, you remember he bounced that thing off the wall earlier. Just a little minor.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
It was real minor. This is going to be pretty major here for him.
Yep.
Stenhouse Jr. in that number 6.
And you could hear the dejection in his voice right there, and that's what happens. They had a practice earlier, made some adjustments. Watch this car, Jeff, coming off turn 4.
And Steve, I didn't think anybody got to him. I saw him getting loose right in the forward.
Oh, yeah.
And you see how close Robert Richardson was that 23 car. He made a great move to keep him getting involved in
Yeah,
that.
I just happened to look up and saw that 23 car near him, but he'd already lost
that's
it.
why I say he was so close it looked like he created it.
Sure did, but no, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. losing control of that car all by himself there in turn 4. 3 minutes, 30 seconds into this practice.
And this is that racetrack we were talking about. The racetrack's hotter. It's slicker than it was. The guys have laid down more rubber with the Sprint Cup cars. It's a different racetrack than what you even went out on an hour and a half earlier.
Hermie, we talked about this in the first practice. We saw Justin Allgaier, that element of confidence.
Right.
You know, we talk about race cars and technology and shocks and springs, but really, I think confidence is one of the most underrated elements in that garage area. Right now, Allgaier has it, and I don't think Ricky Stenhouse does.
No, and I tell you, as a race car driver, when you go on the racetrack worried about how fast you're running all the time and worrying about whether or not you crash these cars, it's difficult to do your job behind the wheel. And this young man is under a lot of pressure.
He is.
Right now, he's driving for a high-profile organization that they expect the results to be better, and he's putting a little bit too much pressure on himself.
Plus the fact he's got to qualify for this race. He's one of those cars we talked about in the Roush Fenway organization, the number 6, outside of that top 30. You see him getting ready to bring the backup car off. But that's the kind of pressure right there that can really, have traumatic and mental problems for a driver.
Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Final Practice from Charlotte is brought to you by Toyota. We're under caution here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. There's Ricky Stenhouse getting out of his number 6 City Financial Ford for Roush Fenway, picking up some debris from Stenhouse's machine. And we've been under caution for about 4.5 minutes.
Now, Hermie, to me, that's a great indication that leave the helmet on, let me get to the transporter, then I'll take my helmet off. That's kind of like his signal to please. That's going to be talking.
Well, I'll tell you something else, too, that's very telling as far as the attitude or, the state of this race team. There was not a lot of his crew guys over there to help him get out of the car and encourage him and all that. And as a young driver, you really need that. So he hopped out, crawled out on his own. There was one guy there, and he's walking back to the hauler basically by himself. So a lot of stuff going on with that race team. Bob?
Yeah, Hermie Sadler, he was not a happy camper as he came walking into the trailer, as you said, with his helmet on. The frustration certainly showing for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And basically all he said was, crew chief Mike Kelly was talking to him about possible air pressure. He said it wasn't air pressure, it was me, basically. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the trailer right now, kind of cooling off, but he'll be back out in just a second and into that number 6 machine.
Thanks, Bob. And Hermie, I want to get back to what you said, because I think, I think we separate racing a little bit from other sports, but I maintain that, the mental part of it is the same. And I think you're right. Ricky could be pressing too hard, trying too hard, wanting to, show that he belongs.
He knows the history of Roush Fenway in the Nationwide Series. He reads the paper. He watches TV. He's seen Jack Roush make changes with his other organizations. You see Jack right there, Colin Brown up on top of the truck as well. He sees what's going on around him, and he knows that he is expected to make progress fast in this race car.
Speaking of Colin Brown, there was a move right there. He started the year in the 16 car, still in that car, but this week, guess what Jack Roush did? He put Brian Eichler in that 16.
And Colin Brown has been in the fab shop working on race cars.
And Matt Kenseth has driven that car this year as well.
Trying to get that car back up in points.
Yep.
That's the thing, is that when you get outside of that safety zone, Jack's a businessman. You've got to do what's necessary to protect your interest and your investment. These sponsors, just like here with Conway Trucking on Conway Freight on the number 16, that group is paying money to be in the race come, Saturday, for example. So if the drivers are not performing, Jack's going to do what's necessary to take care of the sponsors and the guys who put these cars together.
I think, Hermie, to your point, really with a young guy, and Jeff, I think you'd agree, like a Brian Eichler or a Ricky Stenhouse, whomever, get in that car and make laps.
Yeah.
But Ricky Stenhouse has been in an accident in 8 of the 11 races this season. And that's a lot of race cars.
And that's my point. If you got a young driver that the season's been going well, and if your team is 100% focused on the guy who's driving that car, if he has an accident, those guys are over there getting him out, encouraging, patting his back, say, hey, don't worry about it, let's get her here and do it again. And I just didn't see a whole lot of that.
Mike Wallace, 51 years old in that 01 car. He has got plenty of experience. Krista, he'll make his 359th career start here Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Steve, a lot of different agendas in this practice. Mike Wallace, not one of the guys you will see make a mock qualifying run. He told me right before he got into his race car, they can't afford to. This is the only car that they have decaled and wrapped up with their new sponsor, TireBuyer.com. Fans can go online, buy the tires, plug in basically what kind of car you have, and then it'll tell you what kind of tires you need. And they are very interested in being involved in some more races. That's what Mike hopes. This is their very first time on the race car. They got a lot of sponsors, a lot of corporate guys here this weekend. He said his daughter Chrissy is actually going to entertain those guys.
It's a family affair.
But Mike's got himself, he's got a luxury built into this. We talk about with the 6 car not having. Mike is locked in because he's in the top 30 in the car owner points, and that gives him an opportunity to be a little bit more selective of how he drives his race car and what chances he decides to take, because he knows he's going to start Saturday.
Hermie, the other thing for a young driver who's not locked in points, that affects your agenda in practice.
It really does, because you don't have time to go out and just make laps and build up your speed and build up your confidence. You've got to be able to run the car hard enough in practice and in mock qualifying running conditions to make sure it doesn't bottom out, make sure it doesn't get loose, so they can make the proper changes. So the hole just gets deeper and deeper for a rookie driver. Once you get outside that top 30, you don't have a guaranteed spot.
3 Nationwide Series wins for Reed Sorensen in the 32 car. His best Charlotte finish is 5th. But he has failed to finish 4 of the last 6 Charlotte races.
He's got a pretty good cup car over here today in practice too, so good day so far for Reed.
Clint Boyer's in the 21 car. Ryan Newman has turned the fastest lap in this practice. Track record for the Nationwide Series, 187.735 miles per hour, set by Jimmy Johnson in October 2005. That's a 28.763 seconds. Back to Justin Allgaier, and Hermie, one of the most impressive things I've seen about that Penske Nationwide Series effort, between he and Brad Keselowski, they finished every lap but one this fall.
That's what it takes to win championships.
Bob Dillner.
Steve Burns, before Justin climbed in the car, I got a chance to talk to him and also his team. And during that first practice session, basically because it was so darn hot, they did a lot of R&D work with geometry in the front end of this machine. This is the practice that he'll really concentrate on his race runs. And a lot of people think that's backwards, because the first practice started at 2 o'clock, which is about when the Nationwide Series race will start on Saturday. But the team was telling me, you know, it is so hot here today, it's going to cool off big time for Saturday. We might also get some showers in the area, that it really doesn't matter other than balance at some point during the day. So that's what they're trying to achieve in this practice session, a nice balance for Justin Allgaier.
And, you know, we talk a lot about balance, Jeff, and the way I understand it is you want that driver to feel comfortable, essentially, is what balance is from front to rear.
Yeah, you want both ends of the car, you know, basically sticking to the racetrack and feeling like it's gripping the racetrack. You don't want the back end sliding around. You definitely don't want the front end not gripping where you can't turn it. So a balanced race car means all 4 tires are working for you, not against you. And that's the key thing right there, is just trying to make it to where he's comfortable in that car and it can be fast.
You know, and I do think sometimes we kind of lose sight of the fact we always talk about, if you're practicing in the daytime, well, it's going to fix this at night, it's going to get tighter at night. But I agree that if you've got a good balanced race car, that number 1 is into the racetrack if the driver's comfortable, and number 2 responds to adjustments, then it'll run fast in the daytime, nighttime, wherever. But the balance has got to be there to have a really good race car for the long run.
See Casey Kane in that 38 car. He is 6th overall. He has a win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back to the garage and Krista.
Steve, Joey Logano brought his Sport Clips Toyota into the garage and said, yeah, we touched the balance a little bit, but I don't think that's where I'm losing time. The balance, he told crew chief Kevin Kidd, is close. He said he's very happy, full throttle off the corner. And guys, remember, Joey, much more mature now than he was last week.
Yeah, because he's not a teenager anymore.
No, he's 20 now.
He's all grown up. Hey, I got a question for you right quick, Hermie. I see sport clip on the 20 car, and I saw a great clip on Casey King's car. Which one of them gave you the clip?
I got my clip at Emporia, Virginia at the hair station.
Okay.
The hair station.
The hair station.
I ain't seen them on the race
And
car
it didn't take
yet.
long to cut it, and it don't take long for me to fix it anymore.
But it does make you look like a. How did the lady put it? You look so much younger.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
important.
made you a handsome man.
But I have been to sport clips and I have been to great clips, and both of them are great supporters of NASCAR in this nationwide series. So I'm not sure which one of them cut Jason Leffler's hair, but we'll ask that question later.
Oh, got trouble.
It's Peyton Sellers in the 25.
Yep.
Heavy damage to the back of his Chevrolet. Caution out for the second time at the 18-minute mark of this 1 hour, 20-minute practice. Take another look at what happened to Peyton Sellers.
This is going to look eerie as far as looking like almost an instant replay of the 6 car as it comes around right here off the corner.
Sure did.
He's getting back in the throttle, and he just didn't have that grip.
Boy, that thing came around fast.
It just
Jeff.
snaps around.
Peyton Sellers trying to get back to the racetrack, get back into a nationwide race.
Hermie, it looks like it got away from him under throttle. He got back in the gas.
Back in
exactly
the gas
right.
and just looped right around. And this is a car that Kevin Harvick Incorporated, they bought this car from Harvick's. And Peyton Sellers from Virginia trying to get back on the racetrack. Tough break for those guys.
Sellers trying to make his first nationwide series start of 2010.
He was formerly, what, a weekly series champion?
Yep. He's also a developmental driver for Richard Childress Racing, so he's got some talent, but one of these cars gets away from you, not a whole lot you can do about it.
No.
So under caution for the second time. We'll step away for just a minute when they clean up the racetrack in turn 4. Tomorrow, NASCAR Trackside celebrates Memorial Day weekend by heading to Uptown Charlotte. Greg Biffle, Brad Keselowski, and Richard Childress stop by the ultimate Friday night house party. Don't miss NASCAR Trackside from Charlotte tomorrow at 7 Eastern, only on Speed as part of the Speed Street celebration here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And guys, take a look right here at the track temperature. It's 127 degrees, air temperature 87, hot and humid all afternoon long. It's hot, probably one of the hottest days we've had here in the Carolinas in recent weeks. And that 127 right there, that's the one that really makes things ugly around this racetrack this time of day.
It really makes it ugly too, Jeff, when you got guys like Peyton Sellers looking at that scoreboard, trying to pick up speed, trying to drive the car harder. When you lose grip, that's when it's difficult to do.
What I'm curious about, maybe Bob or Crystal One could find out, was he making a qualifying run? Because that was his first lap on the racetrack, you know, since our earlier practice. And guys, we commented when we left the booth, we had a very clean practice in that first session. Now all of a sudden we've got 2 torn up race cars, and I'm seeing a lot of ill handling looking race cars coming up off of turn 4.
Right now, we're taking a look at Jason Leffler. He has 13 Charlotte Motor Speedway starts, best finish of 4th. And he is 3rd quickest right now. It's Ryan Newman in a Chevrolet, then Toyotas of Kyle Busch, Jason Leffler, Reed Sorensen, Brad Keselowski, the quickest Dodge. He is 5th overall.
See Jason Leffler in turns 1 and 2 working the bottom of the racetrack. We'll see as he goes into the back straightaway. A lot of guys are using the top side in 3 and 4, but Jason is still hugging that white line. But one thing I'm seeing, Jeff, in this practice, a lot of guys are all over the racetrack from top, middle to the bottom.
Well, you see the sun coming through 3 and 4, but watch as you go down the front straightaway. We're getting some shade here going off into turn 1 where there's a little bit of a dip. Track may be a little bit cooler right there. Feel a little bit better, some of these guys. So, Hermie, you know yourself, if you get a good run through 1 and 2, getting down into turn 3 can't get you in trouble.
Chris Devoda.
Steve, we've caught up with Peyton Sellers' torn up race car behind us. What happened out there? Was that your first lap? I understand. Were you in qualifying trim at that point?
No, we wasn't in qualifying trim yet. I tell you, Chris, it's just a tough deal. We were late. You know, we have no points being a go or go home car, so we missed a lot of practice due to getting through inspection at the beginning of the first practice, and we only got 8 laps, and we decided to swing pretty big for it and really just overswung. So that's the way it goes. You know, I'm looking at the camera there. It got away from me. It gave no warning at all, and that's part of it. You know, this is only car we've got, and it's a family team. We're trying really hard, and just thankful to have Skills USA supporting us, and just trying to get them a little bit of exposure here to Charlotte this weekend. But it'll be a tough ride back home tonight.
All right, thanks, Peyton. Steve, he makes a great point. With limited time, they're kind of swinging for the fences with changes, and it just got away from them.
Well, Hermie, that's devastating to show up here with one race car and put it in the wall, and not only will they not make money by starting the race, they're going to lose money because they tore up their race car.
Yeah, and I always have a lot of affection for
absolutely
for the guys like that. They're taking their heart and their soul, their money. He's won lots and lots of short track races, trying to, as we say, live the dream. And they bring a car here, and they put everything into that one car, and in one split second, just like that, all your dreams for the weekend. And that's a tremendous setback, not just with this weekend, but for whatever his future plans for this year may be. So tough break for Peyton and HC Sellers.
Scott Lagacy in the 43, and that's the cold, hard facts about this sport. It's
very brutal.
It is a brutal sport.
It is.
They're looking at Brendan Gaughan in the 62 car, and I've been really impressed in this practice today with both the Rusty Wallace cars. Brendan Gaughan and Steve Wallace have been, looks like their cars are pretty good as far as the way they look on the racetrack. And both of these guys have been, looks like they've really taken a step in the right direction as far as this practice, getting their cars up to speed.
Brendan Gaughan 19th overall right now.
Riding along with him.
Steve Wallace 7th overall, Hermie.
I mean, both of those guys look really good. The ironic thing is Brendan Gaughan, like he normally does, Jeff, is using the high line, and Steve Wallace has been hugging that white line when he's on the racetrack. So difference in driving style.
You got that, but at the same time, he really does like that high lane. I talked to him before we got into practice earlier today, and he's very confident right now that they've got the right setup to be competitive, because he feels like the momentum off that top lane with the engine combination he's running right now can be successful for him.
Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Steve Burns, Brendan Gaughan still pretty darn loose in that race car. I talked to Shane Huffman on the crew in between the break, and he said that car was wicked loose in the first practice session, and it continues to do so. And honestly, that's why Brendan Gaughan is running the outside groove right there, is because he has trouble when he gets into the corner, and you just saw it right there. He gets into the corner, and at some point he can't turn anymore because he feels that rear end of the car kind of just break out a little bit. So they keep on making changes on this number 62, but they don't quite have it dialed in yet.
Casey Kane's making a believer out of me as far as that. He just drove underneath that 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
Final practice continues here on Speed right after this. Tomorrow, the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series returns to Speed. Don't miss live coverage of the Outlaws Showdown from Charlotte tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Kyle Busch has won 3 of the last 4 Nationwide Series races here at CMS. He's won 5 races altogether on the 1.5 mile. Krista has an update.
Yes, Steve, on that last run, Kyle said his car was just a little bit free to start, but then it would start to get tight at the end of the run. So crew chief Jason Ratcliffe told him, go ahead and bring it back in. We'll gas it up with some Sunoco fuel, throw some tires on it, go back out, run about 2 to 3 laps. We'll see where we're at with the balance. That's what he's doing right now.
Thanks, Krista. We talked about this in the first practice. If he leads 155 laps, he will tie Mark Martin for the all-time lead in terms of laps led in this series. 8,082 is the number he's shooting for. It's just the numbers for Kyle Busch in this series alone are amazing.
It's mind-boggling. He's been able to accomplish what he has in such a short period of time, considering the guys he's trying to chase down, Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin.
Jamie McMurray aboard that 88. He's been helping that race team out the last few weeks, and Bob Dillner has a report on McMurray.
And Steve, right now, he's 9th quick on the speed chart. And the funny thing is, in that first practice session, Jamie McMurray actually thought his car was really, really slow. He said, guys, are we off a little bit? And Pops, Tony Urey Sr. came on the radio and said, no, actually, compared to everybody else, we're pretty good. He said, it must be the weather and the track temperature because it just feels really slow out there. Well, in this practice session, they keep on getting it dialed in better and better. Jamie's starting to like the way this car is feeling. In the first practice session, a little snug in the center of the corner. But Pops, the crew chief on the right there, went to work on this car in the interim between practices, and they got a lot better to Jamie's liking.
Bob, thanks very much. You guys had talked about it also in that first practice that Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove that car at Daytona in the season opener. Then Kelly Byers was in there for a few weeks and actually was released. They brought the veteran McMurray in there, and he has brought not only stability but performance to that 88 car.
Yeah, well, they're trying to build, the whole operation over at that race team, and a lot of times to get that done, you need a veteran driver to come in, not only get you some good solid finishes, but Jamie doesn't tear the stuff up a lot, and they're able to come back and work on it on a weekly basis and make it better. And that helps the 88 and the 7 car.
This time in our sport, Hermie, I think you'll agree with me on this. It is tough to give a young man and a young driver a lot of seat time if he's not performing, because if you don't have the sponsors committed to you to develop a young driver, they're going to leave you if you don't get up front and have a chance to win.
Yeah, taking nothing away from Ricky Stenhouse, but I mean, Jack Roush has to run a business.
He's got to run a business. Too many people depend on you for a job.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's performance driven type sport, but even more so now than ever. I think we're seeing it tougher for the young drivers to really make a breakthrough.
And you consider on top of that the lack of testing for all these guys in these race cars. Now, I firmly believe Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be, if they give him time, a really good race car driver. But it doesn't matter what you run in ARCA or other divisions. When you get here, it's a completely different set of circumstances, and it takes seat time and confidence at this level to get it going. And a lot of times drivers are not given that amount of time because, like you say, Steve, the owners have got sponsors to please and a business to run.
And guess who you're being judged against, Steve?
Kevin Harvick.
The guys who are running in the elite level of Sprint Cup that come back to this series and race against you. I think we said there are 16 guys attempting to do double this weekend for Sprint Cup drivers, because that's what you got to beat.
But Jeff McMurray has finished third in that 88 car 3 consecutive weeks coming into this race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman still the quickest. Stay with us. Monday night, don't miss an all-new Fast Track to Fame. It's the talent competition so wild, it can only happen trackside. Watch an all-new Fast Track to Fame from Charlotte Motor Speedway, Monday night, 9 Eastern, only on Speed. We're about 36 minutes into this final Nationwide Series practice. Ryan Newman has put down the quickest lap. Newman won here. Newman won here in 2005.
In a good way there for you?
I think too good, actually. I think if we put stickers on, we'd be too loose there. So I think that, there was definitely more turn, a little bit more grip, but lost maybe just a little bit of stability with it. So we can go back maybe 30% on that.
So those are the comments of Ryan Newman. Krista has an update on Carl Edwards.
Well, Steve, when Carl Edwards brought his car in, he actually told the crew that he smelled smoke. That's what he wanted to check out. The crew immediately jacked up the car, started taking a look underneath, making sure all the mounts looked okay, looked at the side skirt on the left side. You see the crew now actually cutting the side skirt, trimming it there on the left side, and that's what they're working on right now. Bob?
Well, Krista, over here on the 11 camp for Brian Scott, they're working on a lot of different things. Number one, the handling of this race car. Brian Scott says he wants it a little bit more secure at the beginning of the run and not as tight at the end of the run. But another thing this team is keeping an eye on, they seem to have a vibration around that transmission, or at least in the drivetrain. Something they are looking at right now. They have the right side of the car jacked up a little bit. They're going to take a look at what they need to do for the handling, but also keep track of that vibration to see if it gets any worse.
All right, thank you very much. Bob Dillner and Krista Voda in the garage. Kevin Harvick in the 33 is 5th overall.
It's a good pickup from practice 1 to practice 2. You remember earlier today in the first practice, this car was right around 25th quickest, but these guys look like they've made some changes, and Kevin's back on the racetrack and running some consistently much better lap times than SD said, top 5 so far in this practice session.
The one thing I didn't like, and I think you may have seen it also, the car bottomed out going into 1 again. A lot of cars have been doing that all day. So you can imagine come Saturday morning, if they get 4 brand new tires on this car and he goes out and tries to hustle it, if they don't get it up off the racetrack, it's going to be ugly.
Hermie, how much of a challenge is it for a driver when, the track is dark tomorrow and you've had 2 good practices here, an hour and 20 minutes both, a lot of laps. How challenging is it for you to sit out that day and then come back here kind of out of the rhythm Saturday morning?
Well, I think it's tough anywhere. Anytime you sit at a whole day and have to come back the next morning and run your fastest lap of the weekend, your qualifying lap. But I think it's especially challenging at this racetrack because this track changes so much with air temperature. I mean, right now it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then when they come back to qualify, it's 9:30 in the morning. So one of two things can happen. You can either overdrive the car and, overestimate how much grip the track has and mess up, or sometimes, Jeff, you can not run the car hard enough when the track's got more grip than you think it, then you come back in after you run and say, wow, if I could go back up there and do it again, knowing what I know now, I could run a lot better. So it's hard to find that edge to ride on to get the maximum amount of speed without stepping over the line.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. As a crew member, when I get ready to make a pit stop, I run that pit stop through my head. My first stop of the day, I'm focusing on what's going on here. Casey Kane just got through making his fastest lap,
and he's the fastest on the speed chart.
But how do you get yourself? Do you run that lap in your head before you ever roll off the end of pit road?
Oh, absolutely.
So you go back there and you say, I'm going to go here down the back straightaway. That's my point. I want to be here. Want to be here.
You hear the crew chief and the spotter say it all the time. Hit your marks.
I know.
You visualize your marks and how you do your entry into the corner, how you're going to pick the throttle up. You just hope that it plays out on the racetrack like it does when when you go through your mind with it. But definitely you visualize it before you go on the racetrack.
Casey Kane, the quickest now. Let's go back to the garage and Bob.
Well, Steve Burns is a longtime pit reporter. Part of your job down here in the garage area is to listen to these teams on the radio. Well, Casey Kane in that 38 and also his teammate, actually, Jason Leffler in the 10 car, have hit on something, and it actually came from that 38 car first. They think they hit on something in the front end of that car. Basically, what I caught was a radio transmission on the 38, and then I kind of transferred over to the 11, where they were talking about what the 38 did, and they are going to apply that to their car. That's why Casey Kane is so fast right now. The problem is right now, nobody's saying what it is.
And they may not.
And because of people like Bob Dillner, they won't.
Right. Jeff, I want to get back to the practices, though, and then qualifying Saturday morning. Another thing you've said consistently over the years is don't fool yourself in this practice.
No, you've got to be very, you've got to be willing to look at the big picture. You don't all of a sudden go down and lay a fast lap like Casey Kane did here and say, okay, we got them covered.
Right.
You need to know where you are, and you got to look at the long run. You got to look at what the driver's telling you your car is doing. We've already heard guys say, I start out, I'm one way, and it turns another in 2 or 3 laps. Well, that's what you have to do is you've got to almost be a fortune teller.
Well, Bob Dillner said in the first practice, Brian Scott was second quick, but did not like his race car.
Yeah, you can be fast for 1 lap, but sometimes you can only hold your breath for that 1 lap.
Don't want to be a practice hero, do you, Hermie?
Not all the time, no, sir.
We'll be back to Charlotte Motor Speedway here on Speed. About 3.5 minutes into this practice, Ricky Stenhouse put his primary car, the 6 car, into the wall. They've got the backup car out on the racetrack now, Bob.
Yes, they do. They're going out with their initial laps on this number 6 machine, 24th quick in this practice session before he wrecked that primary car. But Mike Kelly, the crew chief, just came on the radio and gave a very strong message to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He said, listen, we are not playing prevent defense here. We need to find out what this car is doing, and we need you to step on the gas and go for it. A very strong message to that driver that is trying to learn the ropes here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And one other thing, guys, kind of found out what the deal was with the 38 and so forth. They've been playing a lot with Ackerman and Toe.
All right, thank you, Bob. Let's get back to Krista.
Thanks, Steve, with Brad Keselowski. And Brad, when you came in, I heard you say on the radio that there was smoke in your eyes or fumes. You wanted out of the car. I heard Paul Wolf ask if it was like an oil smoke or an electrical smoke. Do you know what happened?
Well, this is a new car, and the new cars burn the paint real quick, especially on a hot day like today. So our discount tire Dodge it's all right. It just got to get that new paint, that new car smell worn off of it, and didn't help that the helmet hose came off, so it was just picking up those fumes. So we got it fixed, and should be good from here, and feel really good about this race. Got a brand new car, like I said, and a team with a lot of momentum, so we're ready to go.
All right, dealing with a lot, though, on a hot day. Steve?
All right, thank you, Krista. Stenhouse, Ricky Stenhouse drops to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's headed to pit road.
Yeah, and I like what Bob Dillner says. Mike Kelly's telling his driver, trying to give him a little bit of that confidence we talked about, Jeff, that he may be lacking. Go on the racetrack. You can do it. You've got to pick it up. We're not cruising around here. Go get this car ready to put it in the show. That's how they can possibly take an unfortunate situation and turn it. If he can come back from this, it could potentially be a very good situation for Stenhouse.
Yeah, and I think you need to take away from the fact that look how quick this team went to work, got the backup car off. He's back out here making laps, giving himself an opportunity to kind of get that incident off the turn 4 put behind him and get everybody back on track. I mean, you're going to have this. I mean, the greatest of the greats wrecked race cars. Darrell Walters done it, Cale Yarborough's done it, Jeff Gordon's done it, so has Jimmy Johnson. So it's not like something that even the greats haven't done. It's just how you deal with it and how you move from this point. You know, everybody will be watching.
And the first laps on the racetrack with that backup car, Steve, he ran within a couple tenths of a lap of what he had run in his primary car. So hopefully they can continue to build on this and give him a good opportunity to get a good qualifying run here on Saturday morning.
Parker Kligerman, a development driver for Penske. His crew chief is the veteran Chris Carrier, just 19 years old, Connecticut native, had a great year in the ARCA Series a year ago. Sat on the pole, where was it, Jeff, Kansas, in his Nationwide Series debut.
I believe that's correct. That is correct. We're getting a thumbs up from Russell over there. You know, the guy behind the screen, you know, that you can't see.
Russell.
The all-knowing Russell.
Left an ARCA race at Pocono last June, hopped in his car and went to his high school prom.
I can't even remember my high school prom.
Jason Keller in the 35 car out of Greenville, South Carolina. 10 career wins and the all-time leader in terms of starts for the Nationwide Series. 500 starts at Jason Keller got at Dover.
He had to fight for me. It hasn't been an easy year to accomplish that 500 start either.
Bob Dillner.
Stephen Wallace, 9th quick on the speed charts right now, and in one word, a battle. That's how you can describe today. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, you know, I feel like our 5-hour Toyota's not driving too bad. It's just 90 degrees out. This place is, you know, really known for, you know, when it gets hot, it gets real slick out, and the cars are real, you know, hard to get a hang of. So we've been working real hard on, you know, trying to get our car to turn real good, and so far, so good. We're just fighting that heat, you know.
Is it a crapshoot for Saturday with it being cooler and maybe some rain in the mix?
I'd say it's definitely going to be, you know, a big crapshoot. You know, we're practicing at 2 o'clock here during the day. It's 90 degrees now. Says on Saturday it's going to be, you know, about 60% of, you know, chance of rain. So it's definitely going to be a crapshoot. But, you know, our guys here at, you know, Rush Boss Racing work real hard and feel like we've got a good baseline and feel like we'll be all right.
And Jeff Hammond, isn't this track always has been known as one of those very temperamental tracks with Mother Nature?
You got that right, Bob. I mean, it will drive you literally crazy the way the track temperature will mess with your mind and make these guys go crazier.
Just saw two-time Nationwide Series champ Kevin Harvick. Our coverage of NASCAR at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Speed and Fox continues later on. NASCAR Live at 6:30. Then Sprint Cup qualifying. Juan Pablo Montoya was quickest in Sprint Cup practice. And if you missed it, you'll want to see the NASCAR Hall of Fame induction recap. A big day for the sport and the city of Charlotte here this past Sunday. Michael McDowell in the 81 car, 31st quickest overall of 45 who have been on the track. Peyton Sellers in the 25 car brought up the second caution. He told Krista that that was their only race car. They'll have to go back to Danville, Virginia tonight. And we've documented Ricky Stenhouse, who's in a backup car after hitting the turn 4 wall 3 minutes and 30 seconds into this final practice.
I think we're okay right there, but we'll have to think about how much it's going to free us up. Maybe we'll adjust the nose weight just a little bit with the fuel, just to make sure we're good for qualifying, bud.
That's what you call putting together a plan.
And what he's talking about, if you're not running, if your car's not completely full of fuel, as the fuel burns off your car during the course of practice, you'll actually get more nose weight on the car, which will tighten the car up on entry, especially in a little bit through the center and all. So what Michael McDowell is telling him is that, hey, you may want to move a little more nose weight, move some more lead ballast to the front of this car, so when you fill it up with fuel, we keep that balance, that relationship between the front and the rear, how much weight, keep that balance just like this.
So what you're telling them is you'll come in, put it up on scales and say all of a sudden you got 54% nose weight, fill it up full of fuel, and all of a sudden it goes back to 53. So you'll slide some more weight back forward where it reads 54 like it did when the fuel was burned off.
It doesn't sound like much, but a percent and a half of nose weight is a big change on these race cars.
Well, that one car is the defending race car that won this event 1 year ago, but Mike Bliss was aboard.
Yeah, they were running at night and dodging raindrops and the whole 9 yards. So Ryan Newman's going to have a whole different set of circumstances, but car's still up in the top 5. Bob?
Ryan Newman likes this race car, and a lot of people in this garage area saying Ryan Newman and that #1 team owned by James Finch, fastest car out there. This is going to be their mock qualifying attempt. This time they are done after this run. That's how confident Ryan Newman and this crew is. They're only going to run a limited number of events for the remainder of the year, but right now they got a pretty good one, Krista.
All right, thanks, Bob. In the garage with Kevin Harvick. Kevin, you've got Miracle Whip on the car this week. That's not good in this heat, but I know it's good on the car. You guys, looks like you're making maybe a pretty big change right now.
Well, we're a 180 from what we normally are with our Miracle Whip Chevrolet. Setup-wise, just trying to do something a little bit different. We started how we normally were and didn't really like it. We got the speed in the car last time. We've got it pretty close, and we're just trying to get that last little bit out of it. Still a bit of a guessing game because the weather's supposed to be so much cooler on Saturday. It might rain, so we might have to race at night. So we're trying to make sure we do enough things that we can make the right adjustments to our car Saturday morning before we go qualifying.
All right, cooler weather. That's much better for Miracle Whip, Steve.
It is, Krista. By the way, Ryan Newman, as Bob was talking about it, he went to the top of the speed chart. He has now, in fact, laid down the quickest lap at a 30:38. 22 laps for Ryan Newman in this final practice. We'll be right back.
Danny Quinn right there, junior, just making his really first appearance on the racetrack today. Number 90 car, currently 37th.
Jason Keller just made a nice jump up on the 35 car. He is the quickest of the go or go home drivers. Keller 15th overall. Bob Dillner has an update on Jason Leffler.
Jason Leffler had run so good all day long, especially in this practice session, in the top 5 on the speed charts. But you saw all the happiness just drain from everybody on this team when Jason came on the radio and said, I think we just blew up. Trip Bruce, his smile went away. Everybody was just waiting to see if they had to push Jason Leffler in. And then miraculously, Jason Leffler came under power into the garage area, but he says he thinks it's down a cylinder. So they're up underneath the hood of this machine right now trying to check things out. Leffler, Trip Bruce, and the team, they had this car dialed in, and if you look up underneath the car, no oil anywhere to be found. So right now they're trying to diagnose what the engine problem actually is.
Well, Jeff, what would give them a false positive?
I mean, with the driver, and again, Hermie can back me up on this. I mean, you can have a valve spring break. You can have any kind of upper end issue that would not necessarily knock a hole in the bottom of the oil pan. It still makes the car go flat. I mean, just you lose that kind of deal.
Just saw Willie Allen go to the garage there in the 05 car. Great run by him. I just had mentioned Jason Keller, fastest of the go or go home cars. Now it's Willie Allen. He is 4th overall.
And talking about the issue with Jason Leffler, Jeff Hammond, I mean, another issue of, this practice session winding down. Next lap on the racetrack is qualifying, so they really need to get this problem diagnosed and try to get him back on the racetrack to make sure he's good to go before the end of this practice.
Hermie, a great shot of all the shade now encasing the front stretch here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. From about midway in turns 1 and 2 all the way back into turn 4.
What these drivers would like to do is take some of this shade and move it down to coming off turn 2 as best they can. But every little bit of shade on this racetrack helps as we follow Ricky Stenhouse as he's steady getting back on the racetrack and picking up speed as we go here, Jeff, in this bag-up car.
Yeah, like you said earlier, just trying to get some laps out there so we can get a little more confidence, so they can eventually maybe get this thing into a qualifying mode before the end of the day.
Josh Wise in the 61, he is 40th overall, just 9 laps in this practice. David Gilliland in the 91 and Paul Menard in the 98, the only teams not practicing in this session. Let's go back to Bob.
caught up with Jason Leffler, and we just talked about how you think the motor went sour. Obviously a tough feeling for you. What did you feel inside that race car?
Yeah, it dropped. Well, it's over rev. I missed a shift, and that's what caused the motor to blow up. We've had some issues the last 3 or 4 weeks. We switched this transmission, which setback's different than what I've run for about 4 or 5 years. So ever since we've done that, I've had problems getting in gear. So we get that figured out, well, then our motors won't blow up. So, but the ABF Camry is really fast. We'll start last tomorrow. They said the backup motor's just as good. So look forward to our Saturday. I really look forward to Saturday. My car's been solid all day long.
A little bit of self-inflicted pain here for the 10 team and Jason Leffler. Apparently they changed the dynamics of how he shifts that car with the transmission, and that hurt him here today.
Thank you, Bob. We're watching Mike Bliss, the defending champion of this event, but he did that in the 1 car 1 year ago, now driving the 40.
I don't think he's very happy with that 40 car because he hustling around the corners. That I'm coming in with the time winding down here. Not a lot of room right now left as far as the changes you can make because of the short period of time we do have left in this practice.
Yeah, I got about 18 minutes left. So it's Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, and Kyle Busch. Willie Allen up into the top 5. We'll be back right after this. For 5 years, Tony Stewart has invited championship caliber drivers and friends to his famed Eldora Speedway for an all-star charity dirt late model race. This year, Speed will give you an exclusive countdown pre-race special, which will look at preparation for the Prelude, practice session coverage, and much, much more. Catch the Prelude to the Dream countdown show Wednesday, June 9th at 6 Eastern, only on Speed. Ryan Newman still the quickest. He's gone back ahead of Casey Kane. You look at Tony Raines on the 34 car, just 36th overall. Tony's run 22 laps of practice.
Steve, I want to go back to when we were interviewing Kevin Harvick a little while ago, talking about how he's trying to anticipate what the weather's going to be like. I mean, here's a veteran who's been very successful. 60 car out there, Carl Edwards, he really let out a shower of sparks, but trying to get that car balanced so he can, no matter what comes, he can basically have his car ready to go. Because once qualifying, and they go through, once they go through inspection tomorrow, or on Saturday morning for qualifying, they're not allowed to work on these cars. So what you've got is what you have. And making sure you got some adjustability in the car, it's so important. So that's where that communication between the crew chief, the engineers, and the drivers is so important if you want to be competitive.
We saw Carl Edwards in sprint.
In the ground, the truck arm mount.
Yes, they are. I concur.
I was just about to say, Jeff, before Carl so rudely interrupted.
I can't believe he did that to you.
No, we saw him wreck in Sprint Cup Series practice, and he had to pull out a backup for that team.
Tricky little racetrack sitting there looking at Kevin, and again, he's probably one of the sharpest guys right now in the garage trying to figure out what his car needs and what, so he can be better prepared to be able to take on whatever the track may throw at him.
Greg Biffle is 14th overall. Krista has an update.
Yeah, Steve, they made a track bar change similar to what Greg had at Texas and Las Vegas. That's how they told him what they were doing. They actually defined it and described it as what he had at different racetracks, other mile-and-a-half racetracks. Greg, when he came back in, told his crew the car shows signs of life at certain spots.
Krista, I'm going to pose this question to Hermie. Hermie, over the years, it seems like what has evolved in the garage area. Drivers used to talk about their race car, and Jeff, you could certainly weigh in on this. And they would almost, the driver would say what kind of change they wanted or needed. But now it seems like the driver just reports to the crew chief what the car feels like, and then the team makes the changes. Is that accurate, Jeff? Hermie?
It's very accurate, because I ran a nationwide race a couple weeks ago at Richmond, ran the Truck Series race here last Friday night here in Charlotte, and so many things are different, Steve. You know, and Jeff, I go on the racetrack and say, okay, the truck is free on entry. I'd like to do this based on what my past experience is. You know, and the crew chief and the engineer guys would say, can't do that. You know, it's already engineered out. This is where the spring needs to be in the right front for the travel, left front spring for the travel. You can either do track bar, a little bit of wedge, or air pressure. You're so much more limited on things that you can do to fix the car once you get it to the racetrack, it's a lot more difficult to dial a car in there than it was when you had a lot more stuff to work with.
You're right, but you're being very kind because it is so intricate nowadays, Steve. They do so much simulation stuff that really for most engineers and crew chiefs, they like for the driver to tell them what the car feels like. And then they can take and make the necessary adjustments. You go back out and run and say good or bad, and it helps them to kind of like sort it out. Now, I'm not to say the driver is not involved and not important, because he is. But there's so much more to it nowadays than it's ever been before. Take a look at Brian Eichler right there in that 16 car for Roush Fenway. And guys, he just jumped up to the top 5, which I guarantee will bring a smile to Jack Roush's face.
Hermie, we talked about in the first practice, Brian Eichler ran a couple of races for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Camping World Truck Series. Did a very nice job for Kyle. I believe he had 2 top 5 finishes, and impressive here.
Yeah, and you know, Kyle Busch even said it when this opportunity came along for Brian Eichler. You know, Kyle Busch said, no need for me to hold him back.
Yeah.
Although he'd like to have more time with him. So a good gesture on the part of Kyle Busch to see an opportunity for Brian Eichler, knowing that there are not many opportunities out there like this for young drivers, allowed him to go take this opportunity. And so far it's been a pretty good practice session for Brian Eichler in that 16 car.
So Brian Eichler, 5th overall, 20 laps of practice for the 24-year-old out of San Diego, California. We'll be right back. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Final Practice from Charlotte is brought to you by Mahindra. Visit your local dealer to visit or test drive a Mahindra tractor today. Chris Devoto owns about 9 tractors. I don't know if she has a Mahindra.
You need to get you one of those from down there in your place.
I know. Kevin LePage out of Shelburne, Vermont, 25th overall.
If you look at the top 5, Steve, Ryan Newman, of course, it's could be a little bit skewed based on who's making qualifying runs and who's not. But you take Ryan Newman out of the equation, who's got about 3/10 on the field. Casey Kane, 75. Kyle Busch, 78. Willie Allen, great run for him in practice, 78. Brian Eichler, 81. These guys really close in this top 5, and I think Krista's got one of those drivers who's in the top 5.
I do, Hermie, with Willie Allen, and I know you guys have to qualify on time, so you're giving it everything you have, but you're coming off a pretty good run at Dover.
Yeah, I had a good run at Dover. We started out this weekend terrible. We unloaded here, we were dragging the ground real bad. Everybody on the crew is working so hard. An underfunded team, we don't have the resources some of the other guys do, but man, the guys worked so hard. We got it off the track. I think we were 40th in the first practice, and they worked between the break and got it so much better. Got it off the track, and it feels really good. I'm really excited about the race and qualifying. Can't say enough to Wayne Day and Newmore and all the guys for working so hard. Man, really excited about the race.
That's great. Thank you very much, Willie. I know it's been a tough year for you. We'll be rooting for you.
Thanks a lot.
And Krista talked about it being a tough year. His father passed away this year from Lou Gehrig's disease.
It'd be refreshing to see a guy like Willie Allen. It's kind of the other end of the spectrum from what we saw from Peyton Sellers earlier, Jeff. That's what the sport will do for you, the highs and the lows. Peyton Sellers, dejected, crashed his car, having a bad day, and the other end of it, Willie Allen's coming out here. It's Charlotte Motor Speedway with all this competition from the Cup Series and the Nationwide Series, and so far he's got a top 5 speed.
And Michael McDowell has hopped up into the top 5 as well. He's 3rd overall.
And I'm not really surprised to see that, Steve. I think you're going to see a lot of the guys that got to make the qualifying lap on Saturday kind of throwing caution to the wind so they know what they have. Because, you know, their day is making the race. Where a guy like Kevin Harvick, he may not qualify all the way up front, but when they drop the green flag, he'll be coming to the front.
I'll tell you something about Kevin Harvick. Looking at the qualifying order for Saturday morning, he's a #1 car to go on the racetrack at 9:30 in the morning. That could definitely be a benefit for him getting on the racetrack in the morning while she's cool, because this qualifying session will take an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, so that should be a pretty good advantage for him.
I agree. I mean, we were trying to check to see what the temperature was here early this morning and give some idea of it, but it's going to have to be, track temperature will be under 100 degrees. Air temperature will definitely be back at probably in the 60s that morning, so it will just be ideal for making a lot of speed. But excuse me, the one other thing that you get into is anticipating, have you got enough clearance with your race car? We've already seen a lot of guys bottom out. if the speed comes back, and we're running like 30s now, you got to believe we're going to see some maybe 29-second laps come Saturday mornings. Now all of a sudden race cars are going to start going faster and bottoming out. So you got to anticipate all that, Steve.
See Steve Arpin in the 7 car. Michael Waltrip likes to say he's 1/8 Canadian. Steve Arpin is from Ontario, Canada.
Eh?
Take off, eh?
People from Canada talk funny.
They probably say that about some.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Herbie.
I got to get that in. I hear that a lot myself. I got to get that in.
Bounced off the left front spring going into 1.
I think Brendan forgot something in the trailer.
Probably got in a hurry trying to get this like a couple of runs in here, and maybe he was having a little bit of trouble even feeling the car with his gloves, so he wanted to get a better feel. You just heard him comment, I feel like it's off the left front spring. And I talked to him again earlier today, and that's one of the things he's very sensitive about is which spring that car is settling on and how it's driving off that spring.
And what you're talking about, when you coil bind the front of these cars with a spring, this spring is completely collapsed. And it sounds like they're probably coil binding the left front spring on this car. Some of these guys will coil bind the right front spring. But what you don't want to have happen is have that car unload off that spring. If that's the one you're coil binding on, get into the corner, it can really upset the drivability of that race car.
Mike Lynette in the 15 car has St. Jude's Hospital on the hood of his car, trying to raise awareness for a great cause. Pilot Travel Centers giving up there. You see it, the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Started by the late Danny Thomas. And, his daughter Marlo Thomas continues her father's legacy. It's been such a great cause, I mean, throughout the years, and really helped a lot of kids. A lot of kids.
Yep, it's a great cause. Heard Bob Dillner talk to Steve Wallace. Steve 12th overall right now.
He pretty much summed up what he thought was going on. It was a crapshoot.
Brian Scott just jumped up to the 2nd position right behind Ryan Newman. So, Jeff, as you said, the final minutes of practice, there's about 6 minutes left. They're making those bonsai runs.
Well, look, going down the front straightaway here, all of a sudden, we're definitely in shade all the way down the front straightaway. You roll off down here in turn 1. Car takes a sit, got good grip here. Still going to be a little hot and slick off of turn 2. But now, as you exit off of turn 4, as you go down the back straightaway, you'll notice we'll also run back into shade. That gives you some more grip on exit.
Hey, and this shade on the racetrack not only creates more grip, it creates a little bit more confidence in the driver too, thinking that, hey, I should be able to pick up a little more speed here.
Hey, you guys are always playing mind games.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Do all the drivers, can they all drive in the HOV lane? No. Oh, just a couple, like Michael. Trevor Bain just announced his presence with authority. He is now the quickest in the 99 car. Let's go back to Krista.
Well, Steve, don't count out Brian Scott. He turned what was 2nd quick lap. I think it's 4th quick right now. How good is that going to be for qualifying and for the race?
It's so hard to tell. It's really hot right now, and there's some areas of the racetrack that are in the shade and some that are still in the sun. We just more want to know balance-wise what it's going to do. It's not going to hold very well. It wasn't a great lap. We were too tight in 3 and 4, and car kind of pulled out in front of us. But overall, the Maine Children's Hospital Toyota's got good speed. If we can get the handling under it, I think we can have a shot at it. Maybe my first top 5, maybe first win. But real proud to be representing them. Such a great cause. Went and toured the hospital. All the kids there are so special, and they really touched me, and it's so cool to be able to be out here and be representing them. I keep telling everybody, I think our Toyota has a little more extra power behind it. It's got a little willpower for it this weekend, and if any of them are watching, I just want to say, hey, hopefully we'll put together a good qualifying effort for all the kids, and I know Billy Wilburn and the guys on our team, they'll do a great job adjusting it. We'll have a pretty good Toyota.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Hey, Steve, we need to give a shout out here at the end of this practice to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Mike Kelly and that whole crew. They got him back on the racetrack. First lap in a qualifying trim, 14th fastest, Jeff. Good comeback for Ricky Stenhouse. Got to give him a little bit more confidence coming back to this racetrack for Saturday.
That's the way you need to end this thing. Now all of a sudden Saturday morning doesn't look quite as intimidating as it might have.
3rd quickest of the go or go home drivers, Ricky Stenhouse is, and Brendan Gaughan, I'm guessing, has his gloves on now. better. Trevor Bayne, quicker than Ryan Newman by 1/1000th of a second.
That's as close as you're going to get in big-time auto racing, Steve.
Red and black flags out. Practice is over. So Trevor Bayne gets to go through tonight, tomorrow, and show up Saturday morning with the knowledge that he had turned the quickest lap. As you watch Steve Arpin. Arpin has 2 wins for Venturini Motorsports in the ARCA Series this season.
He winds up being 32nd quickest. We take a look at our point leader there. Brad Keselowski in the number 22 car, currently 3rd quickest.
So now the debrief begins, Hermie.
Yeah, Greg Griffith, you can see he's telling his guys right there what the car's doing, where they can improve it on, and what he needs to get this car back up in the top 5 for qualifying.
Well, qualifying is at 7 Eastern, but right now we're going to go to the speed stage and catch up with John Roberts. Johnny?